Hi viewers, welcome back to our video class. I am Mrs.N.Banumathi, Assistant Professor of English, SFR College, Sivagasi. This lesson is all about verbs. I will teach you the different types of verb that we have in English, and I show you how to avoid common mistakes. What is verb? Verb is a word that expresses an action or state. State means a situation. There are different types of verbs: state and action. Number 2, main and a helping verb. Number 3, regular and irregular verbs. Number 4, transitive and intransitive verb. State verbs and action verbs, sometimes they are called stative and dynamic verbs, but the meaning is the same. What's the difference between these two? The difference is that action verbs express physical activities or processes. For example, verbs like a kick, shout, run, climb, stand, sit and grow. All of these show us physical activities. But a state verb is a verb that expresses a situation. For example, verbs like be, have, think, like and own. All are state verbs. Now when I say I have a large family, here I am using the state verb have. That means I am not talking about doing any physical action. I am just telling about a situation. In this case, it is about my family. If I said Julia likes chocolate ice cream, Julia doing any action in that sentence? No. That sentence just gives you some information about Julia. We are still using a verb like, but it is a state verb. This is an important rule in English that you should know. That rule is state verbs cannot be used in ing form. When you want to use a continuous form, you can only do that with action verbs. Let's look at a couple of examples. Now I can say the children are playing in the park. Who's shouting? Both of these sentences are correct because the verbs play and shout are physical actions. So we can use ing forms. But we cannot say I am having a large family or Julia is liking chocolate ice cream. Both of those sentences are wrong. There are common mistakes that some students make. Use ing forms with state verbs. Please don't make that mistake. And remember, no continuous form with state verbs. Let's now move on and talk about main and helping verb. These are sometimes called auxiliary verbs. As well as when a verb is used in a sentence, it can be used in two ways. It can either be used as the main verb of the sentence or it can be a helping verb. That is, it can help the main verb. The most important helping verbs are be, do and have. Let's look at some examples. Luciano is working now. In the sentence, there are two verbs. Can you tell me which are the two verbs? Is and working are the two verbs. Which is the main verb? The main verb is working because that shows the action that is happening. So what about is? What is it doing? Is a helping verb that shows the tense of the sentence. We know that Luciano is working now because we said is. If I said Luciano was working. You know, I am talking about the past. So, helping verb is showing the tense. They can also help us to form negative sentences. For example, Luciano isn't working now. Are questions. Is Luciano working now? In all three of these sentences, the helping verb is be or to be. We are saying is, but that's just a form of the verb. The verbs do and have can also be helping verbs. For example, I don't play football every weekend, and maybe I am talking to my friend, and my friend say, hey, you play football every weekend, right? And I say, no, I don't play football every weekend. I play tennis. For example, so don't is do not. That is the negative form of the verb do, and it helps me to make a negative. My friend, would you ask, do you play football every weekend? That is a question. Let's look at an example with the verb have. We have visited the UK 4 times. Here we know the main verb is visited. But can you tell me what is the purpose of using have in the sentence? Now, if I told you we visited the UK last year, in that sentence I am talking about one single experience, that is my visit last year. But when I say we have visited the UK 4 times, then I am not talking about any single experience, but I am talking about life experience, that is in our lives. We have visited UK 4 times, that's what the verb have helps us to do in the sentence. How, be, do and have are using as helping verbs. But take a look at this next sentence. We have a car. Now both of these sentences use the verb have. But do you notice the difference them? The difference is that the first sentence uses have as a helping verb, but the second sentence uses have as a main verb. Now you might be thinking, how is that possible? Because have is a helping verb, right? But in some cases, be, do and have can be used as main verbs. Now in the sentence, have is used to mean own. We own a car. What I am saying, in some cases, these can be used as main verbs, but most of the time they are used as helping verbs. Another type of helping verb is modals. Modals are these words can, could, will, may, might, etc. I am sure you know these words. Modal help us to express mood. What is mood? In grammar, mood means the attitude of the speaker. That is the feeling I want to convey to you. For example, if I said, the Patriots might win the Super Bowl this year. If we don't know what that means, the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is an American football tournament in US and the New England. Patriots are a team. So, I am making a prediction about the future, and I am using modal verb might to do that. Try to read that sentence without might. Patriots win the Super Bowl this year. It sounds like I am 100% sure, but that is not what I want to say. I want to say I am maybe 70%, okay. So, I am using might. So, might adds third mood to the sentence, that I am talking about possibility in the future. Modals can also express ability, like my sister can play the violin. In that sentence, play is the main verb and can shows ability. You mustn't smoke here. What's the mood I am trying to convey? I am using the modal verb must in the negative. must not to you don't have permission. You mustn't smoke here. So, in that way modals help us to express mood in a sentence. Let us move on and talk about regular and irregular verbs. These you need to know a little bit of background information. That is, in English, only verbs can have tenses. Of course, you know about past tense, present tense and future tense. But to make tenses, we can change the forms of verbs. Do you know how many forms of verbs in English? There are 5 forms. We can these the informative or the base form, the present and the past tense and past participle. This form is used in some tenses and also used in conditionals and in the passive voice. So, it is an important form, and then we have the ing or the continuous form. Let us take the example of a regular to cook. Its present tense form are cook and cooks. That is because we say I, you, we, they, we used cook. But he, she, it, we used cooks. The past tense form is cooked. The past participle form is also cooked. And the ing form is cooking. We say that this is a regular verb because both the past tense and the past participle forms are just ending with ed, cooked. But you can't do that with an irregular verb like. The verb go is the present form or go and goes. But the past tense form is not golden. We used went. The past participle form is gone. So, the past and the past participle forms are different. So, these verbs are called irregular verbs. Next, we move to transitive and intransitive verb. A transitive verb is always takes an object. Object means or pronoun that receive an action. And a transitive verb always takes an object. I said Duncan kicked. Does that sound a little wrong? Because you might ask me, Duncan kicked what? And I would have to say something like, oh sorry, Duncan kicked the ball. For example, the ball is the object of the verb kick because the ball receives the kick, and the verb kick is a transitive verb. It always needs an object. Some other common transitive verbs are kit, give, carry, climb and make. With all of these, if you ask the questions who or what, you will get an answer. Duncan kicked what? The ball. I made a cake. I made what? Cake. Intransitive verb. Intransitive verb, well, that's a verb that does not take an object. For example, verbs like die, live, laugh, cry, run. These all intransitive verbs. They don't take objects. For example, the old man laughed loudly. Notice that in this sentence there is no object. We are saying the old man laughed. But then loudly is not a person or thing receiving the action. That's just an adverb that gives us information about laugh. So, if you ask the question, the old man laughed who? Or the old man laughed what? You will get no answer. That's how you know that the verb is intransitive. A transitive verb always takes an object. Intransitive verb doesn't take an object. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video.